In a world just, well, constantly overflowing with information, especially in a field moving as fast as Web3, it's really easy to feel like you're drowning. Our mission here on the Deep Dive is kind of to be your shortcut, cut through all that noise and deliver the essential insights, the surprising facts right from the source material. Today, we're plunging headfirst into the SKALE 2024 Year in Review document. Our goal is basically to unpack what truly made 2024 such a transformative year for the SKALE network, pulling out those critical nuggets so you can be well-informed without the info overload.
Yeah, absolutely. And SKALE network, it has this really clear vision, right? To be the leading blockchain for, well, genuinely scalable, gas-free Web3 experiences. So this deep dive, it's going to lay out precisely how they're trying to solidify that position. It reveals a year just packed with significant milestones, really impressive growth across multiple sectors. Think of this as your kind of essential guide to understanding SKALE's breakout year and what it fundamentally means for anyone building or, engaging with Web3. Well, the source kicks off with some pretty bold claims. It describes 2024 as record-breaking for SKALE, network activity hitting unprecedented levels. Right.
Now, for a Web3 network, activity can mean so many different things. What are the most impactful metrics here, the ones that really tell the story of this rapid growth for SKALE? Are we seeing just like a slight uptick, or is it something genuinely exponential?
Oh, it's definitely the latter. The growth is quite staggering, actually. So SKALE's unique active wallets, UAWs, those are the individual crypto wallets actually interacting with the network, right?
Right.
They soared past 46.7 million.
46.7 million, wow.
Yeah, it's a massive jump, and it's primarily fueled by dApps launching in gaming, AI, social sectors. It really cements SKALE's position as a Web3 scalability leader. And then transactions, they hit all-time highs. We're talking over 615 million in total.
615 million.
It really showcases their unmatched ability to handle high throughput at zero cost to users. Now, about that zero gas fee model, this is where it gets really impactful. The source highlights that this model saved users over $7.6 billion. Billion dollars with a B in gas fees collectively.
Okay, hold on. $7.6 billion saved.
Exactly. This isn't just a number. It's like a fundamental shift. It basically dismantles a major psychological barrier to entry, It makes SKALE one of the most cost-effective and accessible blockchains out there. And year over year, every key metric, UAW, transactions, daily averages, showed just staggering growth.
That $7.6 billion figure is, well, it's astonishing. What does this truly mean for the accessibility of blockchain tech for you, the user? Like, how does that impact everyday interactions, or even how someone might think about building on SKALE?
Well, think of it this way. For most people, blockchain has felt synonymous with friction, right? High costs, unpredictable costs for every single click or transaction. By eliminating those gas fees, SKALE isn't just saving money, it's dismantling that huge psychological barrier I mentioned. It truly liberates users from that sort of financial anxiety with every interaction. It makes Web3 feel as effortless, hopefully, as using their favorite traditional app. And for developers, it means they don't have to build complex gas management into their applications anymore. That vastly simplifies the user experience and significantly broadens who can actually participate in Web3.
Okay, so these soaring user numbers, they definitely beg the question, who is building all this stuff? If the network is booming like that, developers must be heavily invested. What's the landscape looking like on the developer front for SKALE? Is it really becoming your favorite developer's favorite blockchain, like the report suggests?
It genuinely appears to be heading that way, yeah. The developer ecosystem saw really significant expansion. In 2024 alone, SKALE signed 207 new projects.
207 new projects.
And the level of commitment is, pretty impressive. Over 60 full-time developers contributed to a staggering 511 network repositories. We're talking over 1 million total commits.
1 million commits.
Yeah. And what's particularly telling, I think, is that among all blockchains, SKALE's developer activity on GitHub has consistently ranked second. Only Ethereum is ahead.
Second only to Ethereum on GitHub. That's a huge signal in this incredibly competitive space.
It really is. This isn't just about growth. It's about deep, sustained engagement. And it's supported by comprehensive tools, resources, and importantly, direct hands-on assistance from the SKALE team.
So what exactly do you think is the primary draw? Why are developers choosing SKALE over so many other chains fighting for their attention?
Well, I think it really boils down to a powerful combination of practical benefits. First, those zero gas fees mean developers don't have to worry about building complicated gas management into their dApps. That dramatically simplifies the user experience, as we said. Plus, the dedicated app chain architecture is key. It means projects get their own chain.
Right. To no noisy neighbors.
Exactly. Predictable performance, predictable scalability without having to compete for block space with other applications. Then you combine that with the extensive tools, the resources, the direct hands-on support. It just creates a very attractive environment for serious users, you know?
Okay, so out of all those projects, the source clearly points out that gaming was the star of the Scale ecosystem in 2024. What did that actually look like in practice? Can you give us a sense of this thriving ecosystem?
Oh, absolutely. Gaming on Scale saw, well, record-breaking activity, lots of high-profile launches. This includes everything from like AAA quality action games, think Stray Shot, Haven's Compass, which merge top-tier graphics with a really invisible blockchain experience. But also popular crypto-native games like Motodex and World of Dipians, they amass millions of users.
Millions?
Millions. And a huge validation point, I think, for mainstream onboarding is that 7 Scale-built games are now live on the Epic Games Store.
7 on Epic. That's significant.
It is. It puts Scale right at the forefront of bringing traditional gamers into Web3. And beyond just individual titles, there are some major partnerships really underpinning this success. Nebula Gaming Hub, for example. It's a dedicated gaming chain on Scale. It had a breakout year, hosts over 15 games now, and averaged 458,000 daily active users. Developers see it as the ultimate destination.
458,000 daily users on one hub.
Yep. Then there's the Unity integration. Scale was the first and only blockchain integrated into Unity's publisher support program. That really opened the floodgates for developers using that engine. Even iconic names are involved. OG NFT project Dead Fell Oz is using Scale for their trading card game Death Touch. They're emphasizing that smooth, accessible gaming experience thanks to zero gas fees. And it's also headed for the Epic Games Store.
Right.
Moxie, founded by Atari pioneer Nolan Bushnell.
Nolan Bushnell, wow.
Yeah. They chose Scale specifically to revolutionize competitive esports by eliminating gas fees and latency. And there's a strategic partnership with Sequence, a leading development platform. Games like Zopal and The Last Monarchy are being built on Scale using their toolkit, again, aiming for that seamless, invisible user experience.
So what does this all really mean for you, the gamer? It sounds like the promise of Web3 gaming, the ownership, the potential rewards, but without the usual blockchain friction, is actually becoming a tangible reality.
Precisely. Yeah. For you, the gamer, it means those frustrating bits of blockchain like unexpected gas fees popping up mid-game or transaction delays messing up a competitive match, they're just gone. The focus shifts entirely back to the game itself, the immersive experience, the fun. And that's absolutely crucial for mass adoption in a super competitive industry like gaming, where users expect, well, flawless performance.
Okay, so gaming clearly made headlines, but the source also points out another key sector gained significant momentum: artificial intelligence. What's happening with AI integration on Scale?
Yeah, the AI sector definitely saw a strong rise. We've got leading dApps like Xord, Palm AI, Forum AI, all leveraging Scale's infrastructure. And the core reason Scale is ideal for AI integration, it really comes down to its zero gas fees and instant finality.
Instant finality. Just remind us quickly what that means.
Right. So instant finality means transactions are confirmed and basically irreversible almost immediately. That's critical for any kind of real-time application, which many AI processes are. Xord is a really prime example here. It actually has its own dedicated Scale chain.
Its own chain just for Xord.
Exactly. This project uses AI to collect real-time data from the web, things like topics, news, online reputation trends. Scale enables Xord to operate on its own high-speed gasless blockchain. It abstracts away all those technicalities, like gas costs and transaction latency. The source specifically highlights that this allows for a limitless amount of transactions and saves them millions over using other EVM L1, so other foundational layer 1 blockchains.
Millions saved. That's significant. What's fascinating here is how Scale's core features are solving these critical challenges not just for gaming, but for really complex, data-intensive AI operations. It makes you wonder, what other kinds of data-intensive applications could really thrive under these conditions, maybe beyond what we've even seen so far?
That's a really great question to think about. I mean, any application needing extremely high transaction throughput, minimal latency, and predictable costs, especially those involving vast amounts of data processing, frequent user interactions, or maybe real-time data streams, they'd benefit immensely. You could imagine decentralized social media platforms, perhaps, real-time data analytics dashboards, maybe even massive Internet of Things applications where, billions of tiny data points need recording quickly and cheaply.
Right.
Scale's infrastructure really does open the door for those kinds of innovations, I think.
Okay, so beyond the dApps themselves, there must have been new tools, new platforms launched to enhance the overall user and developer experience.
Yeah.
Right? What were some of the key product releases in 2024?
Absolutely, yes. Several key product launches really stand out. ScaleSwell, for instance, it launched as the first gas-free questing platform. It quickly became this vibrant hub for community engagement for discovery, already seeing over 5,000 users climbing the leaderboard, and there's a $5,000 monthly prize pool.
A questing platform, interesting.
Yeah. Then there's the Scale Research Hub. This is described as a first-of-its-kind platform. It basically aggregates all the scale-focused research covering gaming, architecture, growth metrics, makes it super easy for anyone to dive deep into the ecosystem. And finally, the Scale portal saw significant enhancements along with a newly improved ecosystem page. This whole combination is designed to be the central home for interaction with Scale Network. Unified experience for everything from bridging assets to exploring different chains. And the updated ecosystem page even introduces a utility dashboard with Netflix-style recommendations for dApps.
Netflix-style recommendations for dApps.
Yeah.
That's certainly memorable. And a clever touch for user experience.
Right. It also has multi-tier filtering and even pre-TGE filtering, which means you can discover projects even before their token generation event, their public token launch. Gives you an early look at what's coming.
That Netflix analogy is brilliant for UX. But does making it that streamlined, that familiar risk, maybe obscuring some of the core decentralization principles that Web3 is supposed to stand for? How do they kind of balance that user-friendliness with transparency?
That's a fair and really important question. I think the source implies the balance is achieved through the underlying transparency of the blockchain itself, right? And the open nature of things like the Scale Research Hub. So while the interface is designed for familiarity, that foundational layer remains decentralized. The goal isn't really to hide the blockchain, but maybe make its benefits accessible without all the cognitive load, you know? Users can still dive into the underlying data if they choose, through the Block Explorer, for instance. It feels like it's about abstracting complexity without sacrificing those core Web3 values.
Makes sense. Okay, so all this rapid growth, all this adoption, it must be supported by a really robust technical foundation.
Yeah.
What were the major technical upgrades happening under the hood in 2024 that actually supported this kind of scale?
Right. The core engineering team delivered several truly significant upgrades. A big one was the Pacifica v3 network upgrade. This introduced important architectural updates. The result, a 108% increase in block mining speed and a 122% boost in transaction throughput.
Wow, over 100% increases.
Yeah, and that directly translates to improved transaction speed and predictability for every single user. Block Explorer 2.0 also rolled out to mainnet. It's powered by Block Scout, and it apparently revolutionized how users and developers interact with the network. Enhanced features for usability, stability, the whole experience. They also launched a new staking and validator UI that's integrated right into the Scale portal. It simplifies the whole process of staking, delegating, managing your SKALE tokens. Makes network participation much more accessible.
Easier staking is always good.
Definitely. And another pivotal development was chain pricing going live. This followed a successful community governance vote, CIPU won a scale improvement proposal. This basically means Scale now operates on a sustainable system where end users pay zero gas fees, but the dApps finance their chain usage through these subscription fees.
The chain subscription model.
Exactly. This model positions Scale for mass adoption and long-term economic stability. It creates a clear path for dApps to fund their operations without burdening individual users with unpredictable gas costs. And lastly, they started weekly developer office hours in their Discord. Let developers ask questions, get direct support, apparently got great feedback.
It's clear Scale isn't just chasing growth then. They're really fundamentally strengthening their infrastructure.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to the user. For you, the average user, how do these significant technical improvements like Pacifica v3 or the enhanced Block Explorer actually translate into a tangible day-to-day difference in your experience?
Oh, they're profoundly significant, even if you don't see the kind. Faster block mining, increased transaction throughput, that means quicker confirmations. It means a snappier, more responsive feel for every single interaction. Whether you're playing a game, sending a token, updating something on a dApp, it just feels faster. The improved Block Explorer makes troubleshooting or just checking a transaction status far easier, more intuitive, reduces friction, gives you more control. And that simplified staking UI, It directly makes participating in the network's security and governance more accessible, even if you're not super technical. These are exactly the kinds of improvements that directly enhance that desired invisible blockchain experience.
Got it. So after such a busy, successful year focused on building, growing, what about Scale's broader global presence? And, what can we expect on the horizon for 2025? Are they taking a breather?
Doesn't sound like it. Scale's global presence was apparently stronger than ever in 2024. The team was quite literally on the move. They attended 14 major blockchain events, countless side events, traveled over 44,000 miles. That's like 71,000 kilometers just engaging with the global community.
That's a lot of air miles.
It is. And for anyone who wants to dive even deeper, Scale also released a whole range of comprehensive research reports. Their own Scale Gaming Report 2024, plus in-depth analyses from places like Reflexivity Research, Our Network, Blockworks, Blockmates. These cover everything architecture, the chain subscription model, ecosystem growth. Looking ahead, 2025 promises, well, major technical upgrades, exciting product releases, and plenty of special surprises and opportunities for the incredible community. The overarching goal seems steadfast: make Web3 faster, easier, more accessible for everyone. And for developers listening, there's the Build on Scale Innovator Program. It offers grants, consulting, marketing help, engineering support, even investor introductions.
So what this really tells us about the broader Web3 landscape, I think, is that Scale isn't just building tech in isolation. They're actively creating this complete supportive ecosystem for every stakeholder. From the core engineering, the upgrades, the global outreach, the direct developer assistance, it really looks like they're carving out a clear pathway for both developers and users to experience blockchain without those traditional barriers we keep talking about.
That holistic approach is absolutely key, I agree. They're not just solving one isolated problem like gas fees. They're genuinely trying to cultivate an entire environment where Web3 can actually flourish without the previous obstacles of cost or, frankly, overwhelming complexity. It really feels like it's about enabling frictionless adoption at scale.
What an incredibly expansive and successful year for Scale in 2024. We've covered their massive growth user numbers, transactions, especially in gaming and AI, all really driven by that groundbreaking gas-free model. We also explored the significant technical upgrades strengthening the network's foundations and that robust developer support that continues to attract builders.
Yeah.
Hopefully this deep dive leaves you much better informed about how Scale is working to, redefine what's possible in Web3.
Definitely. And maybe as a final thought for you to consider, given Scale's demonstrated ability to slash gas fees for users while also building a sustainable chain subscription model for developers and successfully attracting major gaming and AI projects, what impact might this whole zero cost to user paradigm really have on the mass adoption timeline of Web3? How quickly could it accelerate things? And maybe which traditional industries beyond gaming and AI might be next to fully embrace this kind of barrier-free blockchain experience, something to mull over. And I definitely encourage you to explore the Scale Research Hub for even more insights.
Excellent points to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Scale Network.